Let's get it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the SchuZ Show. Hope you guys are having a blessed day or night, wherever you guys are, depending on where you guys are tuning in at. So today's show is not going to feature any guests on today's boxing show, but that does not mean we don't have a short amount of boxing topics to get into. And really, every single boxing topic on today's show is revolving around fight news. Today seemed to be a day of a lot of fights getting announced, previewed, released, so on and so forth. Let's get right to it, though. But if there are any comments or questions you guys want me to address on today's show, leave it in the chat, and I'll make sure to address it as we go throughout the duration of tonight's show. Let's get right to it. First things first, Don King is back at it again. He announces PULEV versus Hunter. Don King has announced that the WBA regular heavyweight title fight between Kubrat Pulev and Michael Hunter, which he won the purse bids for by offering $1.1 million, will take place on October 4th in Miami, Florida. Blair Cobbs and Adrian Bronner on the card. All right, that's his report. He comes out and says this and reminds you that Michael Hunter has currently already put out a post saying that I'm not going to take part with him. I'm not a part of him anymore. I'm getting rid of Don King because guess what? I'm fighting Jarrell Miller on the Canelo Alvarez Terrence Bud Crawford card, at least the days before him. And then Don King comes out and says this. Interesting, but here's what's also funny. Two of the other top guys, Blair Cobbs and Adrian Bronner, both came out and they deny that they're going to be in the fight as well. So now Don King announces his fight card, and then on top of that, he decides to come forth and say, guess what? His fighters also come out and say, guess what? We're not going to be taking part of this card either. So if you ask me this question, I think it's quite obvious. Don King needs to get stuff figured out. Maybe even gets his life figured out and says, okay, I'm going to step away from boxing now. Because Blair Cobbs, Adrian Bronner, so on and so forth, Michael Hunter's obviously a great fighter. These guys don't really have a plan in place. And it's quite embarrassing by the fact that you look at this and you're announcing a card in which none of your guys know anything about or are not going to be taking part of this card. Haven't seen too many things like this happen, and boxing is quite a wild place. But at this top level, we have these top name guys. This makes absolutely no sense. So what do I think is going to happen? Well, I don't think that fight is going to happen. I think Michael Hunter is either going to take the Jarrell Miller fight or nothing at all. It appears Jarrell Miller is the fight option, but we will see. And on hindsight, just to give you guys an FYI, I will actually be having Michael Hunter come on the show quite soon. We'll be discussing that. I'll announce when he's going to need to be coming on the show. So hopefully we can get some more clarity on that regard. But very messy situation. I do think Michael Hunter will go forth with the Jarrell Miller fight. I think the money's going to be too good, too big of an opportunity, so on and so forth. And for Don King, I don't know what he's got going on there. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, but it's Don King. It is what it is. Sebastian Fundora versus Keith Thurman on October 25th. It will be the main event of a PBC on Prime pay-per-view in Las Vegas. All right. So when this fight got announced, I came out and made a comment, and some people agree, a lot of people agreed, some people did not. It is what it is. That, listen, this fight did not need to get made. And now I'm not necessarily opposed to it. I'm not saying this fight is going to be bad by any means. I think it's going to be a fine fight, entertaining, good build-up process, the whole shebang. What I am skeptical of is, was this the best fight that could possibly get made? For Sebastian Fundora, I'm very high on him. I think he's very underrated, but for a lot of people, they still are disrespecting Sebastian Fundora, and the reason behind that is because he's not fighting the best of the best guys. His resume, as of right now, is not the best guys as a defender of his world championships. There were plenty of options you could have had for his fight, and yet we choose Keith Thurman, Keith Thurman's a great fighter, but he just returned just a little bit ago, had a fight against a nobody for the most part, did his job, but now he's going to be getting a world championship fight. I don't like that. I think Sebastian Fundora would put easy work on him, similar to what he just did to Tim Tszyu. It just does not make sense at all for me when I look at this fight that just got made. However, here's what I'll say. I feel like there could have been so many better fights to get made at 154 opposed to the Keith Thurman one. And some people were questioning me in the comments saying, hey, why do you think there's other better fights? How many better fights are there? Well, here we go. Let's look at 154. What could have hypothetically been made? One of which is a unification with Bakhram versus Valiev. One of which is a unification with Xander Zayas. Xander Zayas is much more realistic. Bakhram, I know, is in fight negotiations already with Erickson Lubin. So Xander Zayas would have been a much better option there. Other guys, I don't know, Virgil Ortiz. That would have been a banger. That's the fight we're all looking forward to. And I get it. People will say, hey, Virgil is getting ready for the Boots Ennis fight likely to happen in 2026. Well, why can't you have another fight? Why don't we have a unification fight between Boots Ennis and Virgil Ortiz? I think that's what we all want to see have happen. Boots is getting himself lined up for that world championship shot. Why can't Virgil do the same? Other guys you could have had, I think, would have been better. I think Sergey Boachuk would have been a better fight. I love what Sergey Boachuk brings to the ring. He's very entertaining. hard fighter. I would like to go out and see him. Go tough fighter, I should say. He's a good fighter to have. And how about this one? If we want to keep it in the PBC lines, Jesus Ramos. Why is he not getting a world championship shot? That's the guy that I think has more than earned a shot at the world championship. PBC could have made that happen. I would have rather have seen Jesus Ramos in that fight. Other guys you could have said. Now, obviously at this point, after I say those guys, the rest are kind of up in the air. But yes, even Israel Madrimov would have been a fine fight to make. I think it was about even, maybe even Keith Thurman favored in that one. You could have went out with a couple other guys. But the point is, there are better fights that could have been made that I would have preferred to see. Obviously, you have Charles Combo could have been there, but he lost his fight, would not have made that one in hindsight. Callum Walsh could have been an interesting fight, but Callum Walsh is going to be on the Canelo Alvarez undercard. The point is, there was about 3 to 4 or 5 other fights that you could possibly made that would have made more sense for him. Also, Earl Spence, that would have been big name as well there. Now, it is what it is, I said. I'm not going to diss this fight too much. Keith Thurman is a good opponent. He's going to be a solid fight. I'm not going to complain about what happens in the ring. I'm more so in the stance of saying there's guys that probably deserved it more in fights I rather would have seen. Most notably, Xander Zayas would have been a great unification to make. Also, you could have had Jesus Ramos, and also you could have had another opportunity there to go out there and fight Virgil Ortiz for a world championship. That's just my thoughts. It is what it is. Heading over to Australia, though, it has now been confirmed. Australia's Liam Paro will headline a no-limit pay-per-view in an IBF welterweight title eliminator on September 18th against the Frenchman David Papot. Interesting. Liam Wilson versus Carlos Gonzalez, and Paulo Alcosa and Casey Dixon will also be on the undercard. Interesting news there. First and foremost, let me say this. Liam Paro moving up to 147. I think it's a good decision for himself. He's going to put himself in a title eliminator for the IBF. All right, great. Here's the problem here. Nothing against this fight. I think it's a solid fight. But something about Australia boxing has just got some big issues here. And I've been seeing complaints from my fellow Australian friends out there in the media and different things along those lines. And it's this. How come is it that almost every single fight that is just somewhat a decent, attractive fight, a fight where for American people, UK people, Japanese people, boxing fans in general, that they might actually want to tune in for it, why are they making them pay-per-view? All due respect, I like Liam Paro. He is not a pay-per-view fighter. In what world did people have to pay money to watch Liam Paro fight on TV? He is not that guy. And then the undercard, it's fine, but who's going to pay pay-per-view for this? And that's the problem. Australia is having so many pay-per-view events right now where it cuts off almost the rest of the world. Nobody wants to go out there and watch a fight that is going to be on pay-per-view when it has no business being on pay-per-view. Too many pay-per-views, and it's a problem. If you want to grow the sport, I'll say it time and time again, ditch the pay-per-view. It does not work in today's era. Stop doing it. And if you want boxing to grow in Australia, stop having so many of these fights be on pay-per-view. Liam Paro fighting David Papot does not belong on pay-per-view. I'm sorry. I like No Limit Boxing. Please get rid of these pay-per-views. A couple of them, fine. But Liam Paro for pay-per-view is ridiculous. Just my thoughts. Alexander Usyk has requested an extension in negotiations to fight Joseph Parker due to injury. Usyk and Parker have yet to begin extension talk or discussion on fight talks. The WBO officially did order Usyk versus Joseph Parker on July 24th, but negotiations between the two parties have yet to begin. The pair have until August 23rd to reach a deal, or purse bids will be called. Parker's co-promoter, David Higgins, says this: "There is no noise, no engagement, no negotiation from Usyk's team. All thinking and wisdom is that Usyk doesn't want to defend his WBO world title. That is the feeling." All right, so it appears that we are in a situation right now where nobody knows what's going to happen in regards to this fight. Everybody knows that the best fight to make at the heavyweight division is Joseph Parker versus Alexander Usyk. Now, it does appear that it's not going to happen. And so here's the game plan. I've been very clear on this. If Usyk was not who Usyk was today, if Usyk did not accomplish everything he had already accomplished, and if Usyk was not already on the record for saying he only has one fight remaining now, I would be upset with this. This would be a very bad look. But due to all those things I just said, I've been very clear on this. Usyk should go out the way he wants to go out. On his timing, when he wants to fight for that last fight, where he wants to fight in that last fight, and who he wants to fight in that last fight. Every other detail around that, it is what it is. It's upsetting for boxing fans, but that makes sense. He has earned that right, and I'm not going to put any shots at him because of everything he has done for boxing and where he's at today. Therefore, here's what I will say. Of course, I want to see Joseph Parker, Alexander Usyk. But if Usyk supposedly said he is injured, and I believe it, then here's the situation at hand. Usyk does not fight then until summertime or so of 2026. And that's fine. Let him take a year off, whatever it might be, and make this fight happen. guessing and assuming, I should say, that Usyk-Toma goes forth and wins this weekend, he could set himself up for a world championship shot at 20 years of age. That's what I see unfolding here. Go have Usyk-Parker get promoted to the WBO world champion. Usyk-Toma's first in line as the number one ranked contender. Have those two guys fight each other for the world championship. It will be hypothetically Usyk-Parker's title defense, Usyk-Toma's first title shot at 20 years of age. The winner of that fight will then go out there and fight Alexander Usyk for one last undisputed shot for Alexander Usyk to end his career wherever that may be. That's the way I see it going down. I think that would be a great way for Usyk and everybody to end their opportunities for Usyk to end his career. Obviously, you have all sides here as well. Turkey's been very vocal. He wants Toma to get a world championship shot against Toma. This is that opportunity. Or sorry, Toma to get that world championship shot against Usyk. That happens. Usyk-Parker gets his world championship shot. He's happy. And Usyk gets more rest and gets another shot at undisputed. Everybody would be happy. That's the perfect game plan right there. I think that's what will happen, and I'm all for that. The WBC has now officially ordered Ricardo Sandoval to defend his WBA and WBC flyweight world titles against Galal Yafai next. WBC president Mauricio Salomane has told the Ring they have also canceled their order for a Yafai versus Francisco Rodriguez rematch. First and foremost, thank goodness. I'm happy, man. There is no reason Francisco Rodriguez ever should have even had his name brought up with a shot at going for the interim world championship shot again. Absolutely ludicrous when they even announced that. When he had his suspensions, he needs to be out of boxing for a long time, and especially does not deserve a big fight right away. That was a disgrace when it came out. I'm glad they clarified this and stripped him of that opportunity. As for Galal Yafai, much deserved. I think he deserves another world championship shot. That's much deserved on his part. Now, is that a fight I'd like to see? I don't mind it. I think it's a good fight. Not exactly what Francisco Rodriguez said when he came on the show a couple of days ago, but I don't mind that fight. I think it's a good one. Yafai deserves it. We'll see what happens. As Francisco Rodriguez talked about on the show when he came on here a couple of days ago, he made it clear he's going to have to fight in Japan for his next fight. Now, could they give off a one fight, leave per se? Sure, that's obviously on the table. But we will see what's unfolding there. Khalil Ko, Jesse Hart appears to be next. Alexander Godovic has revealed that he was approached for a fight with Khalil Ko, but believes that Ko will fight Jesse Hart instead. Golovdev said this, my manager told me about a possible fight with Ko a week ago. I said yes, of course, but Tuesday he called me and said that they decided to go with Jesse Hart. It makes a lot of sense that Jesse Hart is an established veteran. It would be a nice name to have on Khalil Ko's resume. Khalil Ko, remember, is coming off of the dominant performance when he went out there to Mexico, avenged his loss. He's got his name trending up in the upward trajectory again, and I think Jesse Hart would be a perfect fight for him. Go fight an American, a domestic fight against a guy that's been very established, a good veteran, a good name on your resume. Go make a statement against him, and then the opportunities drastically open up for himself as there'll be many other big fights to possibly make for Khalil Ko moving forward. Here's some BBBofC news as we wrap up the show. They've announced this. Fraser Clark and Jamie TKV has agreed to a deal to fight for the British heavyweight title on a boxer show. That should be the very first boxer show going down on the BBC network, which would be huge. Obviously, they just agreed to that deal earlier this week with Boxer. Therefore, that would be the very first one. A good British domestic heavyweight fight right there. Lewis Edmondson will defend his British light heavyweight title against Ezra Taylor. Great fight right there. I love that one. Per BBBofC, it's not verified. Sam Gilley and Ishmael Davis have agreed to a vacant British super welterweight title fight to be promoted by Eddie Hearn. Davis is also scheduled to face Aguiarco on September 13th. Very interesting there. If you are Ishmael Davis, good fighter, but you have a massive fight against Aguiarco, a man who is ranked in the top 5 by one of the bodies, top 15 by most of them. Incredible fighter. I would not be looking forward past him, I should say, to any extent. That's a very dangerous route where I think even the favorite heading into that fight is Aguiarco. And that's going to be a big fight right there going down on September 13th. So already getting a fight with Gilley lined up does not make a lot of sense. I think Ishmael Davis would beat Sam Gilley in that fight, but that's beyond the point. As for that fight, I just hope Ishmael Davis is focused for Aguiarco because he could very easily lose that fight and then put himself in a weird situation with Gilley. So I'm not sure exactly how all those things will end up falling into place, but that is the plan as of now. It appears that Ishmael Davis could go from Aguiarco to Sam Gilley then in the future by the end of this year. Finally, October 17th fight between Jimmy Sains and Troy Coleman. Now it will be for the full English middleweight title. Good situation there. Jimmy Sains is a great rising prospect, a very intriguing guy coming from Tony Sims and his branch. That's something to keep an eye on. I really like Jimmy Sains. Also, my favorite guy, George Dard. I think he is going to be a star as well. But two really good up and coming young prospects on the British scene. Jimmy Sains will be fighting for the English middleweight title. With that being said, though, I don't see any comments currently going down in the comment section. And so, like I said, today was going to be a short show. Just want to give you guys a run through of all the different boxing news in regards to the fight announcement that got put out in the past 24 hours. So that's what we got today. With that being said, though, I will be back live tomorrow. I will not have a guest most likely tomorrow, but I will go on live. I'll give you guys a fight preview of the Riyadh season card going down on Saturday. I'll also give you guys a preview of some of the other fights going down as well. So we'll get into that, boxing topics as well. I will see you guys tomorrow. I hope you guys do have a blessed rest of you guys. It's Thursday, or if you guys are on your Friday, have a great Friday. I will see you guys back live tomorrow. May God bless you guys all. And with that being said, SchuZ out. I'll see you guys tomorrow. God bless you guys.